Good morning, Your Honor. Continuation of the jury trial in Commonwealth versus Brian Walshe, indictment 2023-0091. Defendant and counsel are present in court. Counsel, if you'd once again identify yourselves to the court and the record, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Greg Connor for the Commonwealth.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ann Yaz for the Commonwealth.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tracy Cusick for the Commonwealth.
Welcome.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, everyone. Kelly Porges on behalf of Mr. Walshe.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Larry Tipton for Mr. Walsh.
Good morning to everyone. We had a little delayed start because one of our jurors is absent today, luckily. Is juror number 15, who is an alternate juror. I'll see counsel at the side of the bench.
Jurors entering, all rise.
Hear ye. All person having anything to do before the Honorable Diane Freniere, Justice of the Norfolk Superior Court. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth. You may be seated. Court is in session.
Folks, just watch your step.
morning, jurors. Good morning. Jurors, I'll start today. Hope you all had a nice weekend. We'll start today, as we have every morning of this trial, with the 4 questions. Jurors, were you able to comply with my order that you not speak to anyone about this case? Yes. Were you able to comply with my order that you not do any research about this case?
Yes.
Be able to comply with my order that you not go on social media or any news media?
Yes.
And do you all still have open minds?
Yes.
Jurors, you may have noticed that we were delayed in starting today, and juror number 15, who is an alternate juror, is not here today for purely personal reasons, and it has nothing to do with this case and shouldn't impact your day in any way. But I did want to not make mention of the fact that juror number 15 isn't here, because then you might be wondering. It's purely personal, nothing related to this case. All right? So with that, jurors, I'll send you back to your deliberations. Thank you very much.
Jurors exiting, all rise. Jurors, please bring your notebooks with you. Watch your step.
Follow me, please.
I just remind you of the 10-minute rule. Always be within 10 minutes of the courthouse. Thank you.
All rise.
Juror number 15, who is an alternate juror, is not here today for purely personal reasons, and it has nothing to do with this case and shouldn't impact your day in any way. But I did want to not make mention of the fact that juror number 15 isn't here, because then you might be wondering. It's purely personal, nothing related to this case. All right? So with that, jurors, I'll send you back to your deliberations. Thank you very much.
Jurors exiting, all rise. Jurors, please bring your notebooks with you.
And you heard the judge. So that's what was going on with the absence with the juror. An alternate juror, nothing relating to this case, just purely personal reasons, not here today, but that's not going to affect a thing. They're an alternate. So the judge said, keep on working. So with that, they were sent back into the jury room just moments ago. We're going to start our clock up here on Court TV Live as we continue on that verdict watch for you. In the meantime, we follow big breaking news this morning out of California. We have a team en route there now that's going to be providing updates for us throughout the day. This is heartbreaking news. The stabbing deaths of movie director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer Reiner. So the family confirmed the identities with a statement, and we know that multiple law enforcement sources are confirming that this stabbing took place. However, what's coming exclusively from People magazine is that the alleged killer is the couple's son, Nick. Again, that is source reporting coming from People magazine. That is something that law enforcement has not yet confirmed. So we're waiting on confirmation from that. But we know that the call came in around 3:30 on Sunday, the discovery of the bodies happening in the late afternoon. We know that Nick is being questioned right now by authorities. We're told he's not under arrest and no arrests have been made. We know that Rob Reiner had a long career in Hollywood. You may have remembered him as playing Meathead on All in the Family. He went on to direct some of the greatest movies of our time, When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, A Few Good Men, just to name a few. Stand By Me. He is one of the most prolific directors in Hollywood. And his wife was a videographer. We understand. Just very creative individuals and have 3 children together as we understand it. We know that their home is in the Brentwood area as well, about a mile, we are told, from the home where Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman were killed back in 1994. Rob Reiner was 78 years old, his wife, Michelle, 68 years old. Homicide detectives at the scene. The mayor in Los Angeles, Karen Bass, issued a statement. She said, quote, "I am heartbroken by this tragic loss of Rob and his wife, Michelle. I knew Rob. I have tremendous respect for him. An acclaimed director, actor, producer, writer, and engaged political activist. He always used his gifts in service of others." Now, again, I mentioned we have our Court TV team en route there. As soon as they're on the ground ready to give us an update, they will. Right now, I want to bring in former investigator and former prosecutor, high-profile attorney and lawmaker Tommy Pope to weigh in here. Tommy, in terms of what investigators are doing right now in that interview room with Nick Reiner, what do you think the conversation is like?
Julie, I was thinking it's according really what the crime scene was like. In other words, I remember, and I'm dating myself again now, years ago, Court TV covered a death penalty case I had with James Robertson where he killed both his parents. He killed his mother with a knife while Dad was in the shower and then sprayed Dad in the face with Tilex and beat him with a hammer after he got out because he knew he couldn't handle them both at one time. So the dynamics of the scene are one question. In that case, James Robertson tried to make it look like a burglary. He even went to the point of writing notes that said he was leaving to go visit his brother up in Pennsylvania. It was kind of sloppily done. He broke out a window, but broke it up from the inside out. But anyway, so my point being, according to the scene and whether it looked staged or whether, it looked angry or, whatever law enforcement's got in hand, that's what they're going to be dealing with. And, as long as the son's talking to them, they have to pick, try to gather as much information as possible because as we all know, if the son decides not to say anything and asserts his right, then the interrogation's over. And so, again, there's a lot we don't know forensically what's going on the scene, and I think that'll drive, Julie, what comes of the interrogation.
Great points, Tommy. when we think about this, the why, I think, is the first question that comes to mind. Why? How could, especially when you're talking about something allegedly that occurred at the hands of a family member. Again, a source reporting from People magazine, LAPD not yet confirming this. I saw reporting from Perez Hilton, again, source reporting that this young man, Eric Reiner, struggled with substance abuse and with homelessness, two very sad things that might be at issue here. How do those things play in, if at all, Tommy, when you're in the interrogation room with a suspect?
Julie, it's interesting because that combination of factors can come so many different ways. When we have homelessness, because you think, how could Rob Reiner's kids, have homelessness? Well, a lot of times that's tied to mental health issues too. And so you have that issue, then you have the drug issue. Going back to the Robertson case, he was abusing Ritalin. To the extent he was homeless, it was because his parents were putting him out of the house because he ultimately killed them to get the inheritance. And so there's a lot at play there, Julie, like you said, the drugs part. I mean, and sometimes I remember when crack cocaine first started, when I was working in narcotics, people would be stealing from their own parents just to go buy more crack. And so, perhaps he went for a loan for money for the drugs, for example, and perhaps they had to show some tough love and he blew up. Again, there's so many things that we see every day on Court TV that play the various motivations and factors. And law enforcement's, again, got to be delicate because you want to gather as much information as possible because very well, the only three people that know what really happened were mom, dad, and the son, if he indeed is the perpetrator. And so you've only got one person that can actually share any further information.
Tommy, you're making such excellent and real points from, real life case experience. And I thank you for that. As you were talking, sure. That scenario you put out there is one that I've sadly seen more times than I would like to share, where I would have parents come in, at the magistrate level, and I'd look at the case and it's a home burglary involving their son or daughter who is struggling with addiction problems. And they would say, well, look, I don't want to prosecute them. I don't want them to go to jail. I don't want them to have a felony, but I don't know what else to do. I am at my wit's end because we've given them money, they're stealing, they're going to kill themselves accidentally in overdosing if we don't get them help. They refuse to stay in treatment. And you see parents trying to use the system because they have nowhere else to turn as a way to try to stop the addiction. I mean, it can be so sad, so brutal. It makes children do things at the time that are just unrecognizable to anybody who knew them prior to the suffering. And so, again, we don't know if that's what Nick Reiner was, in fact, suffering from. Again, this is reporting from Perez Hilton. I want to cite him. He's come on Court TV network a few times in the past and is really all over this story. He also reported that it was one of the other children in the Reiner family, Rob Reiner's daughter, he reported, who found the couple. So again, we're going to continue following this one, bring you more information as these details keep trickling in. Tommy Pope, I'm so glad you're here. Great insight as always. Stand by, please, as we get ready to return to Ohio. We're going to go back to the Hicks case now. We've got some live testimony going on, so that's a live look at the courtroom right now. And as you see, the jury deliberation clock is moving again in the Walshe case. The jury back in the deliberation room will let you know what comes today when we could potentially see a close to this case. We'll be right back.
Tonight on Court TV.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments. We have a big hour ahead here.
Your deplorable actions are unforgivable.
The community still doesn't know how this Boston police officer died.
He can't prove one element of his case.
It was a dramatic day, a dramatic moment inside the courtroom.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan. Tonight at 8/7 Central. Only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Let's get you back in the courtroom in Ohio. Testimony now underway in the murder trial of Paul Hicks. He's accused of murdering his wife, Regina, more than 20 years ago. Let's go in together live.
And so this took between 2017 and what year to get this case indicted, to get this case to a grand jury?
2025.
Okay. So this wasn't something that just started in 2024?
No.
And this wasn't, was this something that was just started from a tip from a podcaster?
No.
Okay. Now, did you prepare summaries in this case?
Yes.
Did you prepare maps in this case?
Yes.
You have a map, or you have a document in front of you states Exhibit 4H. What is states Exhibit 4H?
It is location specific to the investigation.
Okay. Did you prepare this?
I did.
Okay, and is it true and accurate?
Yes. I should say with the approximation of how close you can get on a map.
Okay. If you can make it a little bit bigger. So.
I have this one too.
Okay, so when we're looking at the map on the, as I'm looking at it on the left, well, first of all, what appears on the map?
I apologize.
What appears on the map?
Identification of locations.
And what locations did you identify?
Mike Perkins residence, Christo Hicks residence, Regina Hicks residence, Steve Gates residence, Whetstone residence, and the approximation of body location.
So Mike Perkins' residence, where was that located at?
221 North Washington.
And what's the significance of that? Why did you put that on there?
That was the last known location where Regina Hicks was at.
And then do you see 4463 Town Line Road 12 on the map?
Yes.
And what's the significance of that address?
That was the location where she was to pick up her son that evening on October 18th.
Who was she?
2001, Regina Hicks was to pick up Montana, her son, from the father, Paul Hicks.
And as the crow flies, what's the difference, what's the distance between 221 North Washington and Steve Gates' property, 4463 Town Line Road 12?
Approximately 1.9 miles.
There's also a 304 Dale Avenue. What was the significance of that?
That was Regina Hicks' residence.
And then we have 514 Ash Street. What's the significance of that?
Christo Hicks, Paul Hicks' sister, resided there, and Paul Hicks was staying with her during that time.
Also on the map, you have the Whetstone residence on Egypt Road. What's the significance of that?
Just to identify the residential location of the two witnesses and compared to where the body was found.
And where was the body found?
In a pond on 1876 Section Line Road 30 in Willard.
And is that also on the map?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the distance between Steve Gates' property, or did you create a distance between Steve Gates' property and the pond?
Yes, we attempted to do an approximate, which would have been around 1.9 miles.
Okay. Next, I'm going to direct your attention to State's Exhibit 4I. I'm sorry, 4L. What is Exhibit 4L? Before it's on the screen, what is this?
This is what we call a link or association chart. It's a way for us to identify individuals in the case and look at their relationship or how they're all connected to one another.
Is this true and accurate?
Yes.
And did you create this?
I did.
Okay, so on the left, what appears on the left?
Paul Hicks and his relatives.
And who are the relatives?
Yes.
Who are the relatives?
That would be Jewel Hicks and Crystal Hicks.
Okay, and underneath Paul Hicks, what appears?
Individuals that he had relationships with.
And then,
at the time, I should say.
okay, now there's a direct line from Paul Hicks to an individual, a male wearing glasses. Who is that?
Steve Gates.
And then next to Steve Gates, to the right of Steve Gates, whose picture is that?
Lori Greer Gates.
And then underneath Steve Gates is a direct line to who is that?
Gail Dean Montoni.
And who's Gail Dean Montoni?
He was an individual who visited Gates's residence and was known to Paul Hicks and to Steve Gates.
And when did he visit the residence?
The day of October 18th of 2001.
And who is to the left of Dean Montoni?
Donna Cox.
Now, on the right-hand side of the chart, who appears?
Relatives and friends of Regina Hicks.
Okay, so who is to the left of Regina Hicks?
Victor Michael Perkins.
And to her right?
Her mother, Lysella Holbrook.
Then underneath Regina, whose pictures appear?
On the right, as you're looking towards the screen, you have her siblings as well as her uncles. On the left, that goes down, starting with Sherry Handshoe, you have friends, known associates of Regina Hicks.
And her siblings would be, what are their names?
Chad and Charles.
And her uncles?
Carl Patrick, Denny Patrick, and Jimmy Patrick.
Okay. And what is States Exhibit 4L used for?
I apologize?
What is States Exhibit 4L used for?
This exhibit is used to easily identify the chart, to identify the relationships between Paul Hicks, Regina Hicks.
What a sad case this is. We'll continue following it on the other side of the break. Also, we're following the Brian Walshe case as the jury is still out, and the developments, heartbreaking developments out of Hollywood in the double homicide of beloved director Rob Reiner and his wife. Welcome to our second hour of Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We continue following that big breaking news out of Hollywood as police are investigating the stabbing deaths of movie director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer Reiner. TMZ is reporting that their son Nick Reiner is now in custody. We here at Court TV are working to confirm that. The Reiner family is confirming the deaths of Rob and Michelle through statements. We know authorities got the call around 3:30 p.m. on Sunday and made the discovery of Rob and Michelle's bodies. No arrests have been made, but we do know that Nick Reiner is in custody. So take from that what you will. Maybe it's verbiage choice. I would say, custody sounds like, certainly sounds like an arrest. But, if he's not free to leave, he's in their custody. So we're working to get details on that. We know he was being questioned. So perhaps that questioning turned into an arrest. That's sure what it sounds like at this hour as we have our Court TV team en route to Los Angeles, going to get on the ground there and provide us some reporting. This happened in the Brentwood area, beautiful area, if that sounds familiar to you. We know that was the area where the home of Nicole Brown Simpson was located, where she and Ron Goldman were stabbed to death back in '94. The Brentwood area is where the Reiners had their home. They are parents to 3 children, and son Nick is in custody, according to reporting from TMZ. Court TV is working to confirm that. While we do that, let's talk a little bit about what this investigation looks like. A crime scene to be processed at the Reiner home. We understand that some big stars already showed up to the home in the early hours of the morning. Billy Crystal and Larry David reportedly showing up. As Rob Reiner, we know, had a prolific career in Hollywood. Got to start acting. He played Meathead on All in the Family. You may remember him from that. Went on to direct Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men. The list goes on and on and on. His wife was a producer and a videographer, so also very talented. This has left Hollywood incredibly shaken. And all of us watching from afar, just wondering why. Let's bring in our law enforcement analyst guest, Sonny Slaughter, on the program this morning. Sonny, let's talk a little bit about the pieces of information that investigators need to be gathering right now.
Good morning, Julie. Such a sad, sad day and weekend as we think about this particular case. Investigators are having to go through every inch of the home to determine exactly where the murders took place and how this happened. They're not focused on the why at the moment, but how things happen, because they have to gather the weapon. They have to look at the entry point, if he was living there or if he came by. And then they have to figure out what were the details that led up to this horrific murder, and if he is in fact the actual perpetrator. While he may be in custody, that might be based on what they have gleaned so far, but these are very unique dynamics in which domestic violence within the family, where a child kills a parent, allegedly, is horrific when it comes to DNA collection, when it comes to access to the homes, access to the weapons, identifying potential other perpetrators that had access to the home, access to the weapons, interviewing with family members, the other children, the neighbors, what did they see, what did they know. There is some evidence and allegations that Nick may have suffered from mental health, may have suffered from drug use and abuse. So they're going to have to roll back the time and the clock and figure out how this incident occurred, when it occurred, get a time frame, and then map it out accordingly, while also trying to preserve the dignity of the the place because it is someone so high profile, but also ensuring that this investigation has significant integrity that cannot be impeached and impeded by any defense counsel. So they have to be measured in what they say, measured in what they do, how they go about processing the crime scene, and how they go about engaging with family members, those close to the family. So I suggest that silence at this time is what is needed and necessary, because we all have seen how quickly words can unravel a case and compromise it in the public, because people want microwave results and not long-term justice.
Well said, Sonny. Let me ask you about something else, and I credit Perez Hilton with this reporting. Trying to get him to come on the show this morning. I know there's a time difference in Los Angeles, but was watching some of his reporting this morning, and he was talking about how sources that he's had in the Hollywood area for years tell him that Nick Reiner struggled with addiction problems. He had substance abuse problems for years that haunted him. Also struggled with homelessness as a result of those addiction problems. And when I heard that, this senseless tragedy started to make a teeny bit of sense if Nick is the perpetrator. Sonny, I'd love your thoughts on that, please.
You know, thank you, Julie, for saying that, because I also have been following that information as well. It does give us a glimpse into the behaviors and the analysis of what Nick was going through, and how two parents, aside from them being Hollywood legends and leaders, how just two parents, a mother and a father and a family, were trying to deal with the unique dynamics that comes with parenting, that comes with relationships as siblings. And then it speaks to how this could have, why this may have occurred, because the instability of an individual can compromise all of their consciousness and all of their sensibility. And this is what happens. As a mother of four, you know, we all want our children to be well and to do well. And I know personally, as many others, that doesn't always happen. And while we are shining lights for the public, we have dark and deep demons that haunt us in our parenting, in our lives, in our relationships with our family. And if these things are true, that's where we should focus our attention.
Excellent points from you, as always. Sonny Slaughter, I'm so glad you're here today. I have other cases I want to ask you about, but of course, as we get any more information about the situation being investigated at the home of beloved director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, we're going to report it right here. Son Nick reportedly in custody at the LAPD. Does that mean he's not free to go? Does that mean he's been arrested? We're waiting to get more confirmation from police, but TMZ reporting him in custody right now. That tells me he's not free to go. We have our team again en route there to Los Angeles. We're going to have reporting on the ground later today on Court TV. Right now, though, let's go back to Ohio. The drowned wife murder trial is ongoing for defendant Paul Hicks, this guy accused of murdering his wife, Regina. This was a cold case, but now it's heated back up. Let's go back into the courtroom. We have a criminal intelligence analyst from the Ohio AG's office on the stand.
And the other people.
Correct.
Now, you have also in front of you State Exhibit 4I. Right. 4I and 4K. What are State Exhibits 4I and 4K?
They are a chain of events connected to Regina Hicks and Paul Hicks.
Are these summaries?
They are.
Okay. And who created the summaries?
I did.
And how'd you go about creating the summaries?
The information on these was created by investigative reports. There are interviews from Huron County Sheriff's Department during their investigation at the time.
And are they true and accurate?
Yes, to the information that was provided, yes.
Next, you have in front of you States Exhibits 23A through L. Did you examine phone records?
Yes.
And for what purpose did you examine phone records?
First of all, to look at communications, and secondly, to go through and look at information from witnesses and compare that with phone calls or lack thereof.
Okay. And did you create a summaries based upon these phone records?
Yes, I created Excel spreadsheets to make it easier to look at the records because they were obtained during Huron County Sheriff's investigation in 2001.
Okay. So I'm just going to have you identify these records that you looked at. States Exhibit 23A, what is that?
Those are Altel records.
And whose Altel records are they?
The subscriber is listed as Steve Gates.
States Exhibit 23B, what records are those?
The carrier on these is Verizon.
And whose records are those?
These records are, I believe, a combination between Crystal Hicks and Mike Perkins, or Victor Mike Perkins.
Exhibit 23C? Or Exhibit 23D? I'm sorry, 23E. Go with 23E.
These are Dobson communication records. And the subscribers on these records was Paul Hicks and Jewel Hicks.
Okay. 23C?
A customer service agreement for Regina Hicks.
23F?
These are Dobson communication records. These are Regina Hicks phone records.
Okay. 23I?
These are Verizon phone records for Mike Perkins.
23J?
That's a telephone bill breakdown of codes and call types.
And is that a record from the phone company?
It is, from Verizon.
23K?
This is a Verizon special computer search procedures that is provided by Verizon phone carrier.
Is that, and what's the purpose of that?
This usually accompanies back in the 2000s the billing and legal issues, so on and so forth, that Verizon adheres to.
23L?
These are Verizon phone records for Havana Tavern.
Okay. And did you personally read through these phone records?
Yes. This one's. Okay.
23N?
These are... We'll continue following this trial in Ohio and, of course, the deliberations going on in the trial of Brian Walshe. We thank you for being with us this Monday morning. We'll be right back in just 4 minutes.
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down.
Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
I'm gonna kill her.
An alleged murder plot involving a family's au pair and the married father she worked for.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
She wrote a children's book about her husband's death. Now she's accused of killing him.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
Hacksaw, the best tool for dismembering a body. Can you be charged with murder without a body? Google search. Disposing of a body in the trash. Google search.
We did find a couple bottles of hydrogen peroxide as well as a knife in a kitchen cabinet. The screening test for blood was positive on this blade.
Doctor, is this the photographing of the piece of metal that you spoke of? Doctor, did you recognize any writing on Exhibit 188?
Yes, there was an engraving of Gucci on one side.
I don't want to hide anything from you because if that could lead to finding my wife sooner, that's the most important thing. If I wouldn't hurt my wife, I love my wife.
We continue following the trial of defendant Brian Walshe in Massachusetts. He's accused of murdering his wife, Anna. The jury out for 4 hours and 25 minutes. We're also in Ohio today for the murder trial of defendant Paul Hicks. This guy is accused of murdering his wife, Regina, more than 20 years after her body was found inside of her car in a pond. Let's go back into the courtroom now. On the stand, a criminal intelligence analyst with the Ohio AG's office.
Verizon phone records for Regina Hicks's home. Actually, it was, I believe, Virgin phone records, Verizon, yes, for Regina's home.
Okay. And 230.
These are Verizon records as well. For Regina Hicks.
How did you go about creating summaries or spreadsheets from all these records?
So an Excel spreadsheet was opened and the original phone records were looked at and the data was inputted into the Excel spreadsheet.
And how does the data get inputted in the spreadsheet?
I input it.
Line by line?
Correct.
Okay. And how long did that take?
A little while.
A little while. I have in front of you States Exhibits 34M, N, O, and P. What are States Exhibits 34M, N, O, and P?
34M, Paul Hicks records. 34N. Here to look at the Regina Hicks records. There's two of them. And 34O, Steve Gates records, cellular records.
Okay. These are summaries of their phone records.
Yes, it's summaries of the original phone carrier records, correct.
And you put this together?
I put that together.
Okay, and have you verified it's true and accurate?
Yes.
You would like to place Exhibit 34M in front of the published Exhibit 34M? Oh, you're all right. Okay, so what are we looking at with State Exhibit 34M?
A spreadsheet that I created based off of the original cellular phone records that were provided by the initial investigation.
Okay, so for the record, there are columns on this Exhibit 34M. What data is in each column?
The first column would be the phone number. Second would be the target number. The target number is what I identify as the subscriber name that's connected to the phone. The date, the time of the called number, the subscriber of the initial phone number or target, and called city. And those were the columns that were mostly on the original records.
So was the subscriber information on the original records?
Yes.
Was Regina Hicks's home, was 419-933-4761? You identified that as Regina Hicks's home phone?
Correct.
Was that identified on the original Dobson records from Paul Hicks's cell phone?
Is the phone number identified? Yes. Is the subscriber automatically in there? No, but the phone number is, correct.
And did you get the subscriber name from her from Regina Hicks's phone records?
Yes.
So this exhibit would be a compilation of more than one set of phone records?
Correct.
For example, we have, if you just look at page 1, what is another subscriber on page 1? In addition to Paul Hicks and Regina Hicks's home phone.
Havana Tavern.
And did you have the Havana Tavern phone records to look at?
I did.
So we have phone number, target number. What does date refer to?
The date that is listed on the phone records as the call.
And time?
The time of the call, whether that's in or out.
Okay. And the called number?
Is the number that was dialed at the time.
Called city, you know what that refers to?
That was something that was listed in the original phone records. If it was back then, it was very specific on charging of the city if they could locate it. Towers, obviously, nowadays are a little bit more specific.
Are you familiar with cell phone towers?
Yes.
And what have you learned about cell phone towers?
Since 2001?
Yeah.
They're more specific. They collect certain types of data, whether the sector of the cellular device or the cell tower that's being utilized on the phone carrier that's utilizing it, so on and so forth.
Directing your attention to the phone calls on October 18th, 2001 that appear in this summary. And you have on this sheet you have in front of you as well. What time was the first phone call on October 18, 2001?
1952, which would be after midnight.
So 12/1950, would that be 12/1952?
It would be.
And what additional phone number was involved in this phone call?
That was a call to Crystal Hicks' home.
And then is there a phone call at 12:58:57?
There is Steve Gates.
Okay, so what happened at 12:58:57?
There's a call that goes out to Steve Gates, and it looks like back then they were able to determine that the city of that call or contact was coming from Norwalk.
Then what happened 4 minutes later?
At 13:55, there was a call to Paul Hicks incoming.
And what phone number placed that phone call?
419-706-1593.
Who was that assigned to?
That was assigned.
I'm sorry, the phone call at 13:02, 4 minutes after the 12:58 phone call.
That was 419-933-6081, Donna Cox.
You go on to the next page. Is there a phone call at 14:40, which is 2:40 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay, and what's involved with that phone call?
That's an incoming call.
And incoming call from whom?
You would have to compare those records to the other records to determine, because that is Paul Hicks's cell phone and an incoming. Just to clarify, back then, and if you look at the original phone records, that's how they decided incoming and outgoing.
Okay, the phone call I'm talking about is the phone call at 14:40:09. what does your summary reflect about that phone call?
That's a 144009. I apologize. I was at 46. That was 4196 from Jansen Phibbs.
Okay, and that's a 2:40 in the afternoon.
That is correct. I apologize.
So, what phone call is then placed at 210410? Who are what phones are involved in that call? And that is, what time is 210410?
That's about 9, 10, 11, about 9:04 p.m.
And what phone calls?
There's a call from 419. Jill Hicks.
We're going to step aside from this testimony for just a moment. We're going to hit our break and letting you know we've got some more information coming in. Rob Reiner's son, Nick, has been arrested for the murders of his father and his mother. We're going to have an update for you when we come back. Thanks so much for being with us on this Monday morning. I'm Julie Grant, and this is Court TV Live. Want to take you to Hollywood now. We're continue following that breaking news. The son of famed director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle is now under arrest. It is official. Nick Reiner is being held on $4 million bond. The Reiner family confirming the deaths of Rob and Michelle through statements. And now we have confirmed that Nick Reiner has been arrested and is being held on $4 million. He is suspected of the deaths of his parents, of stabbing them to death. This is aerial footage. I'm looking at this as you are. This just coming in to our newsroom. Area footage of the Reiner estate, beautiful home that they shared in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles. You can see the lights up around the home. We have our team en route as we're speaking to Los Angeles to provide you with reporting throughout the day on the ground. Rob Reiner, 78 years old, his wife Michelle, a producer and videographer, 68 years old, and their son Nick is being held on $4 million bail, arrested in this double homicide. Police say they were stabbed to death in their home and found on Sunday afternoon around 3:30 Pacific time is when the call came in to first responders, finding this beloved Hollywood couple deceased in their home, killed at the hands of someone else. Was it their son? That is the question. He certainly has raised the suspicions of police, and they obviously have enough probable cause to make his arrest. Let's bring in our law enforcement analyst, Sonny Slaughter. Sonny, you've been with us through the hour. We've seen the progression. We were getting word that he was being questioned. Then we were hearing the word custody thrown around. Now it is official, arrested, and bail has been set. The accusation here being that he took the lives of his own mother and father. Sonny, your reaction, please.
Oh, Julie, it's breathtaking that this is now confirmed that he is not in custody. He is currently under arrest, and that the bail amount is $4 million. I want to say how painful this is as a parent and as a person just watching from the outside, but understanding these experiences. I also want to remind the public that oftentimes when we have children, as individuals and those that help, the community help raise, who have troubles, mental health and drug abuse and criminal activity, oftentimes parents can be shamed if they do not react in the way that others want them to. People think that because they are your children, that you should just kind of stay the course. And that may have been what happened, that they were trying to stay the course as parents. But we often talk about in domestic violence situations that we have to retreat as victims to gain safety. But we don't think about that in the same way when we talk about parent and child relationships, where those relationships are unsafe and they are unhealthy. This is a tragedy for the family. This is a tragedy for the friends. This is a reminder for the community and for the public that some relationships are unhealthy. And as a parent, I know personally, sometimes you cannot be the one to save your own child.
Sonny, you said that so well. It's a sad reality. Drug addiction, alcohol addiction, it plagues our country. And there is reporting, as I noted before, I want to note it again, coming from Perez Hilton in his source reporting that Nick Reiner had struggled for many years with substance abuse problems and homelessness as a result of those addiction problems. And as we're talking, Sonny, I have some information that not only has he been arrested, but he has already been lodged in the Los Angeles County Jail. We're looking at the Sheriff's Department's Inmate Information Center, and it appears that at 7 o'clock Pacific time, so this was just a short time ago, it's 10:30 here in the East, that he was lodged. And so they've got a booking number for him already. He's 32 years old. This is a photo of him with his dad that we've been sharing for you. What I'm seeing on the Sheriff's Department's information sheet is that the arrest technically happened yesterday on the 14th, and that he was booked on the 15th. So it could happen, my guess is that in the wee hours, you know, of the night, the change happened in the booking because we know it was in the afternoon that the call came in. So he was picked up at some point on Sunday and then lodged this morning, right around 7 o'clock is when I see this information hitting the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Inmate Information Center. They don't have the specific charges, but what we can glean from the facts we know, investigators, you know, are investigating this as a double homicide. We know this is a felony that he's lodged on. We know the LAPD's gang unit is investigating this. Not saying that he's part of a gang, not saying that. I'm just saying that's who was called out to work this case. And we're waiting to get the specifics on the charges, this is just as bad as it gets. Sonny, also so close to the holidays, this happening. I mean, this is a tragedy any time of year. Nobody wants this to happen, yet also this time of year when we're extra sentimental, you see the holiday lights around the house as well. It's chilling, isn't it, my friend?
It really, really is. It's heartbreaking because anytime around the holidays when there's a death, when there's a murder, it is a constant reminder every single year. But I also wanted to go back to what you said about the gang unit. That would make sense. I'm the former co-chair of the National Opioid Caucus under Health and Human Services. And the gang unit, because if he was involved in potential drug use and abuse and the homelessness, that might be the unit that would have the most information about where, if all of this information is true, and I want to be clear about that, where he got his drugs from, what he was involved in, but it doesn't mean that he was necessarily involved in a gang. But it does have the similar threads of the investigative processes for looking, apprehension, potential drug use, abuse, and known associates or anything like that. Because remember, he was connected to a financed family, and if he owed someone money, you know, there's a lot of threads that we'll have to pull. But I do have to commend law enforcement for holding this case close to the vest, for doing what they needed to do it from an investigative standpoint, and for finding him, doing what they needed as far as keeping information quiet, close, and then following a process that has less taint from the public about, you know, whether this is the individual, whether he was questioned properly. All of those things will roll out later, but I do commend them for what they have done in executing the arrest, the seizure, and moving this homicide investigation forward.
Yes, Sonny, yes, they've acted quickly, and thank goodness, because if Nick Reiner did this, if he killed his mom and his dad, then you can never know where he would have gone next or what he would have done next. As you know, if he was on a path of destruction, this could have been deadly for other people. And so, as you said, thank goodness law enforcement acted as quickly as they did, getting to the person they believe is responsible for these killings. Sonny, we thank you for the insights. Again, our team en route there, we're gonna have live updates for you throughout the day as soon as they are on the ground. We'll keep you posted as any more information comes in. But Nick Reiner behind bars on $4 million bond. As we head to break, of course, we're sending our good thoughts and prayers to the Reiner family. Rob Reiner, beloved Hollywood director, his wife, Michelle, killed on Sunday. We'll be right back with more testimony in the drowned wife murder trial and deliberations in Massachusetts in the Brian Walshe case.
Tonight on CourtTV.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments. We have a big hour ahead here.
Your deplorable actions are unforgivable.
The community still doesn't know how this Boston police officer died.
He can't prove one element of his case. It was a dramatic day, a dramatic moment inside the courtroom.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan. Tonight at 8, 7 Central. Only on CourtTV.
There's no evidence that Regina Hicks was driving that vehicle. There's no evidence that Regina Hicks floated from the passenger seat, from the driver's seat to the passenger seat, which is what would have had to happen if she was going to commit suicide. Her relatives will also tell you, when they saw her that day, she was not suicidal.
Was this a case of domestic violence? Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Let's get you back in the courtroom. This is the trial of Paul Hicks. He's accused of murdering his ex-wife, Regina. We've got a criminal intelligence analyst on the stand.
And after that, approximately approximately a minute later?
Regina Hicks at 21:05:32. And that's a call 12 going out, I believe. They were both outgoing calls.
And what about at 21:06:34?
That's also an outgoing call to Regina Hicks's home from Paul Hicks' cell.
Are there any phone calls, does Paul Hicks's cell phone records reflect any phone calls during the 8 o'clock hour or the 20 hour of, on October 18th, 2001?
Could you repeat the times again? I apologize.
8 o'clock, from 8 to 9.
No.
And what time was the last call made prior to 8 o'clock based upon these phone records?
The last call that was made, it appears on 10/18 of 2001, 18:15:43 to 419, which had been identified as Moose.
Okay, there's two. What was the last call made before 8 o'clock at night on the 18th day of October 2001?
There was an incoming call at 19:53:40.
So that's the last incoming call.
That is correct.
The last outgoing calls at what time?
Prior to that, that's going to be Willard, the Moose call at 18:15:43.
And after 8 o'clock, what is the next outgoing call?
21:04:10 to Jewel Hicks's home, followed by the 21:05:33 to Regina Hicks's cell, followed by the call to Regina Hicks's home.
So from 18:15:43 to 21:04:10, how many hours is that?
18 to 21. Approximately 3, give or take, minutes.
And how many phone calls were placed from this phone during that 3-hour period of time?
Are you incoming or out?
How many phone calls were placed from this phone during that 3-hour period of time?
3, 4.
How many phone calls were placed by this phone during this 3-hour period of time?
So at 18:15, there was a call to the Moose. And if you're looking at the totality of all of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there is 7 in total, regardless of incoming or outgoing. And there is outgoing, 18:15, and then you have 21:04, 21:05.
And how many hours between 18:15 and 21:04?
A little over 2 hours, maybe.
Almost 3 hours.
Yeah, approximate.
So were any phone calls placed from Paul Hicks' cell phone between 18:15 and 21:04? Any outgoing calls?
To 21:04?
Correct.
18:50 incoming. You have 1. Because you have incoming, you have the Moose, which is out.
On 10:18.
Yep, you have the Moose that's out. That's
There's an
1.
outgoing phone call from 18:15:43. You see that?
That's correct.
The next outgoing phone call is, like it is.
You gotta go, go down.
Is at
21:04. Is that 21:04?
Are there any outgoing phone calls between 18:15 and 21:04?
No. No.
Thank you. And how long of a period of time elapsed between those two outgoing phone calls?
Approximately 3 hours.
Now, directing your attention to State's Exhibit 34N.
You're welcome.
What is State's Exhibit 34N?
These are Regina Hicks cellular records.
Is this a summary of Regina Hicks's cell phone records?
Yes,
And who prepared this summary?
I did.
It was prepared the same way that you prepared Paul Hicks's summary?
Yes.
And is it true and accurate?
Yes.
You want to publish States Exhibit 34N? Okay. Other columns located on this summary?
Yes.
And if you can explain what's in each column?
Column A is answer date, B, answer time, C, call duration, D, calling full number, E, subscriber.
And what is F?
F, called full number, G is subscriber, H is terminating full number, I is first originating trunk, J is first terminating trunk, K is the trunk address location if it was provided by the phone carrier.
Do you know what an originating trunk?
Regina get justice after all these years. We'll continue following this trial in Ohio, and we're following the jury in Massachusetts. We've just surpassed the 5-hour mark in the deliberations in the case against Brian Walshe.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ted Rowlands. Good to be with you on this Monday, kicking off another week. And we're going to start it in Dedham, Massachusetts. Busy day, obviously. What a weekend it was in terms of news. We're monitoring the latest with the murder of Rob and Michelle Reiner out in Los Angeles. Nick Reiner, their son, now in custody there. We're also in Massachusetts, and that's where we're going to start. Brian Walshe, this jury's still working. A lot of people thought, all right, Friday they would get the case, and Friday they'd deliver a guilty verdict because of the overwhelming evidence against him, accused, of course, of killing and dismembering his wife, Anna. Well, that's not the case. They're still working. 5 hours and ticking. Prosecutors aren't buying his story that he said he found his wife dead and didn't know what to do about it. Didn't know if, oh, should I call 9? No, I'm going to chop her up. So this jury is grappling with this very aggressive defense. Some don't believe a word of it, but obviously this jury is very thorough. We'll give them that. As soon as we have any movement in the courtroom, we'll head there live. But right now, let's go to Dedham. And that's where we found Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson. A lot of anticipation now, Matt. They had the weekend, did this jury. Sometimes they'll come back after a weekend off and boom, have a verdict. Not yet. Set the scene, if you would.
Yeah, you know, Ted, all eyes on the courthouse here behind me. Day 2 of deliberations. We're now crossing officially that 5-hour mark for this jury. 6 men, 6 women, deciding the fate of Brian Walshe. He was dressed in a suit today, looking back at his mother quite a bit today, who was seated in the gallery, as the judge looked at each member of the jury and got verbal response from them. Again, those questions that we hear each and every day, that they didn't talk to anybody about the case and that they are keeping an open mind. Well, they're considering a lot of evidence over 48 witnesses that testified over 8 days in this case, this murder trial against him. It was very interesting because there was a delay start in day 2 of deliberations, about 30 minutes behind schedule, because one of the alternate jurors had a family emergency and was unable to attend the courthouse today, attend the waiting period as we're all waiting for questions and possibly a verdict to come down today. But then the jury was sent back to that deliberating room where they are again considering all of the evidence. Also of note, again, Mama Walshe in the gallery, seated right in front of me. She seemed to not understand how the proceedings work. The judge in all of this telling all parties to be within a 10-minute shot of the courthouse in case there is any questions or if we do have that resolution and that verdict. And she was asking the defense attorneys something to the nature of, what if she leaves the area? And I heard the defense attorneys say, you know, you're told to be within 10 minutes and we can't ask the judge to wait for you. So that was an interesting point that happened earlier today, Ted.
Yeah, there she is. You can see the resemblance between her and her son. Key evidence. Let's talk about that, because, you know, this jury has been at it a while. And to your point, there was a lot to go over. So it may be that they're going and sifting and you know, everybody's weighing in on the different evidence that we have seen play out. Take us through some of the key evidence, if you would, Matt.
Well, you know, there was a lot of key evidence coming in by the way of testimony. Again, testimony from 48 witnesses, all brought forth by the Commonwealth. The defense did not put on a case. This defendant did not take the stand in his own defense. But some of those people included, of course, the investigators who were searching for Anna's body and being lied to by this defendant. He admitted to that. And also, the people that were searching for her after her disappearance, including her former boss that spent New Year's Eve with the couple. He testified on the last day. We also heard from her former best friend, who was really concerned about the couple and had suspected that the couple was really in trouble, and she was worried about Anna and her mental health and the nature of their relationship. And then her former lover that took the stand, William Fastow, that was talking about he was worried what was going to happen to Anna if Brian Walshe found out that they were having that secret love affair. Listen to part of his testimony.
Did you and Anna discuss how Brian Walshe reacted to Anna not being in Cohasset on Christmas Eve and getting there later on Christmas Day?
She told me that they had an argument about it, and there were some points of contention. His inability to resolve his criminal case and the fact that because of that, she couldn't be with her children and bring them back to Washington, D.C., and the fact that it felt like it was holding up her life.
Now let's talk about all the physical evidence that this jury, 6 men and 6 women, are considering right now. They asked to see some photographs of some of the key evidence in the case, including a photograph of AnaWalshe on a rug that was inside the Cohasset home. They wanted to get a close-up view of that. They also wanted to see photographs of some of the blood clots that were collected from the trash. Remember, there was a lot of evidence that was destroyed and also thrown in dumpsters in the Boston area. Again, this defendant admitted to doing that as well. But he also bought hundreds of dollars worth of cleaning supplies at area Lowe's and Home Depot. That's some of the evidence in the case. The surveillance video of him tossing those bags in dumpsters, and then the tools with AnaWalshe's blood connected to those tools, a hatchet, snips, and a saw. But remember, this defendant has already pled guilty to misleading police and dismembering his wife's body. Here is what that jury is considering at this area, at this time. It's just the first-degree murder charge with a lesser of second-degree murder. So if he is found guilty of first-degree murder, that's life without the possibility of parole. Second-degree murder, he could be eligible for parole on this one issue of after serving 15 to 25 years behind bars. But again, he's already going to be spending a lot of time behind bars for his federal crimes, selling fake Andy Warhols, for these other charges that he pled guilty to, Ted. So even if he's found not guilty on the murder, he's not walking out of the courtroom a free man.
No, yeah, chopping up your wife is illegal, and he's admitted to that. So you're absolutely right there. All right, Matt, stand by, and we'll check back in with Matt if there's anything from this jury. Matt will be with us throughout the day. Let's bring in criminal defense attorney and former district attorney Matthew Mangino. Happy Monday to you, Matthew. 5 hours, 12, it's not an eternity, it's given the amount of evidence that was presented. What's your take on the jury still at it, not wanting to go home Friday night and resolve this thing?
Well, Ted, when we had talked about this before, and I know you have mentioned it multiple times, it's really a defense that stretches the limits of credibility or believability. I know that as we look at this case and we try to figure out exactly what these jurors are thinking about or what they're going through, there's a lot of evidence, and they maybe want to be meticulous about that evidence and go through that evidence, piece by piece to make sure that they're doing, so to speak, their due diligence. But I really would find it incredible if this jury didn't come back with a guilty verdict of first-degree murder.
Yeah, in your experience, sometimes you get a four-person, don't you, that really wants to go over the evidence. Let's start here. Let's move on to this and that. That could be what's going on.
Yeah, there's no question that could be what this jury is doing. I mean, jurors have a responsibility, and they take that responsibility very seriously. So in this situation, there's a lot of evidence, as Matt had said earlier, I think with 48 witnesses. So there's a lot to go through. And this jury is being meticulous and wants to make sure that they don't overlook anything. And that's what a jury should do. I mean, regardless of what you might think at the outset, what conclusion you might come into that jury room with, you should have an open mind to listen to the evidence and make a decision. But in this situation, ultimately, that decision is going to be based on the facts, and the facts are really sort of outrageous in this case.
The idea that the Commonwealth, they can't prove how she died. Well, that's because he admittedly he took her body away. He stole that opportunity through his actions, through his decisions. But do you think, because this was the defense, right? The defense is, well, she died by this mysterious illness. Is there a chance a juror or two may have bought this thing hook, line, and sinker? I mean, his defense attorney was something else, especially in the close.
Well, yeah, I think it's important to recognize that we don't know the cause and manner of death in this case. And that's really kind of a cornerstone in any homicide prosecution. But what we do know is we have a version of events that suggest that a husband finds his wife deceased and, for unexplained reasons. And he doesn't call an ambulance. He doesn't call the police. He doesn't do any of that. He decides that his best option is to chop her body up and hide it in different parts of the community. That's really a stretch. I mean, jurors have to believe that that would be a rational reaction to finding your spouse deceased. And I think that's a stretch.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a huge stretch, but here we are. We'll see. Stranger things have happened. Of course, even if they're hung, the Commonwealth will be retrying this one. You can imagine that. Let's get a break. When we come back, we'll continue to monitor everything in Dedham, Massachusetts. We're also monitoring what is happening in Los Angeles. Will there be a press conference? We're monitoring it in terms of the announcement of Nick Reiner, now in custody, being held on $4 million bail. Also, this case, Ohio versus Paul Hicks. We'll head back to that courtroom as we wait any word from that Massachusetts jury.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on CourtTV.
'Tis the season for true crime. Each morning, we'll dive into a case that took place around the holidays. Join us for the 12 days of holiday crimes.
Opening statements with Julie Grant, mornings at 8/7 Central on CourtTV.
Welcome back to CourtTV Live. Busy day here, a busy Monday, kicking off a new week. Here's a look at some of the cases that we are watching today throughout the country. In Massachusetts, the jury's been deliberating now for over 5:22 exactly in the Brian Walshe case. We'll take you to the courtroom. Matt Johnson is there. He will alert us immediately if the jury has a question or a verdict. In Florida, closing arguments underway in the penalty phase for Jason Bodegas. He's the man who pled guilty to the October 2021 murder of a Hollywood police officer. We'll monitor that. We could be going into that courtroom as well for those closings. In Ohio, it's day 4 of testimony in the case against Paul Hicks. He's accused of drowning his estranged wife, Regina, in a car nearly 25 years ago. Before we go to that courtroom to pick up testimony, let's get you caught up on the case against Paul Hicks.
Directly from where I'm standing, if you look ahead, 4 rows back is Regina's grave. It's eerie to think that you've seen her playing with her baby here, and now you're looking at a tombstone.
Regina Rowe Hicks went missing on October 18th, 2001 after witnesses reported seeing her leave her boyfriend's home to pick up her son. Officials say she never arrived at her destination and was instead found dead in the passenger seat of her car when police searched a nearby pond. With no strong leads, the case would go cold for 24 years.
It was hard on everybody, but it really hurt my mom real bad because she couldn't get justice.
Hicks' mother spent the last 5 years of her life keeping Regina's case alive. And in November of 2024, state investigators were brought in to search the land where Regina's home once stood.
I told him, yeah, if you can find anything to give closure to this, it's worth it.
The Ohio Attorney General's office says a fresh look at the investigation led to the victim's estranged husband. In April of 2025, Paul Hicks was arrested in the cold case. Hicks is charged with 3 counts of murder and 1 count of kidnapping. He's pled not guilty. Prosecutors said in court documents that they intend to present evidence of a strained relationship as an alleged motive, including evidence that Regina intended to end the marriage and allegations that Paul threatened to kill her. Paul's lawyers declined to comment on the allegations. If convicted, Hicks could spend the rest of his life in prison. All right, let's head to that courtroom now and pick up some testimony. This is a criminal intelligence analyst on the stand.
Back in 2001, it would be the location of where the tower was that connected.
And what's the terminating trunk?
That would identify the location of the trunk or terminal where that call ended.
And then there's a column that says trunk address location. What does that refer to?
If the cellular phone company provided the address to the location of those trunks, they would identify that in that column of their records.
So does the trunk address location refer to the originating trunk or the terminating trunk?
It refers to the originating trunk usually.
For the subscriber information, where did the subscriber information come from?
It came from the original phone carrier records.
So direct your attention to the phone calls on the 18th day of October 2001. What time was the first call placed?
052 or after midnight.
And what additional phone number was involved with that?
Hardee's 419.
Do you know the significance of Hardee's?
I don't recall.
Do you recall where Mike Perkins worked?
Hardee's.
And so is there a call placed at 2:39 in the afternoon?
Yes.
And who was called? Well, who are the parties to that conversation, or the call?
Regina Hicks, the cell phone contacted Jules' home.
Then what time is 15:07?
3:07 p.m.
And was there a phone call placed at 3:07 p.m.?
Yes.
And how long did it last?
1 minute and 88 seconds.
And what additional phone number was involved in that call?
419. It would be Sherry Hanshew. There we go. 419.
So what does that mean?
That means there was communication between Regina's cellular phone and her friend Sherry Hanshew's phone at the time.
So Regina called Sherry Hanshew.
That's correct.
What's the next phone call?
It's easier for me to see it up there than on here. It's tiny on here. Well, there was calls with 0 durations. One was the one at 1640. Jewel Hicks contacting Regina Hicks.
The phone call at 1700 hours.
Which was approximately 32 minutes. That was a call from Regina Hicks to Paul Hicks's cellular number.
Is it 32 minutes or 32 seconds?
That's 32 seconds, 0.32.
The call directly above that
Yes.
at 16:59, a minute before, was that an incoming or an outgoing call?
From Regina Hicks's phone,
Yes.
that was an outgoing call.
And who did Regina Hicks, what phone did Regina Hicks call?
Paul Hicks.
So the phone call at 16:59, how long did that last?
0. There, no connect.
And then there's a phone call a minute later between, from Regina Hicks to Paul Hicks?
Correct.
And what address was that phone call routed through?
206 Woodland Avenue, Willard, Ohio.
Then is there a phone call placed at 1929?
Yes.
Okay, and is that the next phone call after the phone call at 1700 hours?
Yes.
What time is 1929?
7:29 p.m.
So at 7:29 p.m., what happened with respect to Regina Hicks's cell phone?
Regina Hicks's cell phone contacts Paul Hicks's cellular phone.
And what was the duration of that call?
0.65 seconds is how they listed him.
And what was the address of the cell tower that routed that phone call?
206 Woodland Avenue, Willard, Ohio.
Next, what happened at 1932 hours?
There was a call placed from Regina Hicks's cellular phone to Lacella Holbrook's phone number.
And who's Lacella Holbrook?
That is Regina Hicks's mother.
And how long was that phone call for?
1 minute and 38 seconds.
Then what happened at 1953?
Regina Hicks's cellular phone contacted Paul Hicks's cellular phone.
Okay, and what time is 1953?
7:53 p.m.
And what cell tower routed that phone call?
206 Woodland Avenue, Willard, Ohio.
And what was the duration of that phone call?
0.27
So what's that mean?
seconds.
27 seconds? Okay. Are there any more phone calls placed by Regina Hicks's phone after that phone call to Paul Hicks's phone at 7:53 in the evening?
No.
Are there incoming calls?
Yes.
And who are the people that are placing the incoming calls to Regina Hicks?
Mike Perkins, Lacella Holbrook, Crystal Hicks, Paul Hicks.
Now, Crystal Hicks, is that her landline?
Yes, I do believe so.
And who was living at Crystal Hicks's house on the 18th of October 2001?
Paul Hicks, her brother.
And how many phone calls are made by the Crystal Hicks phone number to Regina's cell?
There's 2 calls.
Okay. And there's how many calls from Paul Hicks's cell phone to Regina's cell?
There's one call.
State's Exhibit 350 or 340.
Which is
Where's State Exhibit 340?
These are Steve Gates Cellular records.
And were these records created the same way that the prior 2 summaries were?
Yes.
And it's a true and accurate summary? If you could publish 340.
No objection.
Okay, what columns appear on the summary of Steve Gates' cell phone, which is State Exhibit 340?
A target column, target name column, date, time of call city, state, call destination, subscriber. And there should be a minute, second.
The subscriber information, how is that derived at in the subscriber column?
The subscriber information was identified by Huron County's initial request for the phone records.
So it's on the phone records?
Correct.
If you could scroll down to...
All right, we're going to slip out a commercial break. When we come back, Rob Reiner and his wife both murdered. Now we know by their son. We'll have the very latest on this shocking double murder in Hollywood when we return. CourtTV Live, busy Monday, and what a weekend it was in the world of news and crime. A heartbreaking weekend, including the story out of
We're back on the record in the matter of Commonwealth versus Walsh.
The jury's reached a verdict.
Entering, all rise. Will the deliberating jurors and the defendant please remain standing? Everyone else in the courtroom may be seated.
Your Honor, may I inquire?
You may.
Mr. Foreperson, in the matter of the Commonwealth versus Brian Walsh, have the deliberating jurors reached a unanimous verdict?
We have.
Thank you, sir. If you could hand that to the court officer, please. Your Honor, may the verdict be recorded.
It may.
Mr. Foreperson, in the matter of the Commonwealth versus Brian Walsh, Norfolk Superior Court Criminal Indictment Number 2023-0091, as to count 1, wherein the defendant Brian Walsh is charged with murder in the first degree, what say the jury? Is the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Guilty of what, sir?
Murder in the first degree.
Murder in the first degree, so say you, Mr. Foreperson.
I do.
Guilty of murder in the first degree, so say all deliberating jurors.
I do.
Thank you. If you could hand that back to the court officer, please.
At this time, we'd move to poll the jurors.
The juror may be polled.
Thank you. Juror number 1, juror in seat number 1, as to the verdict of murder in the first degree, is that your verdict? Yes, it is. Juror number 2, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 3, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 4, as to the charge of murder in the first degree, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Mr. Foreperson, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 8, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 9, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 10, is that your verdict? Juror in seat number 13?
Yes.
Is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 14, is that your verdict?
Yes.
And last juror, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Your Honor, all jurors answer affirmatively that the guilty of first degree is their verdict.
The verdict may be recorded. Please
Thank
be
you.
seated.
Seated.
So jurors, I want to thank you for your service on this case. I know that it went a little bit more quickly than we were expecting, but your service has been substantial. We're in the third week of this trial, and I appreciate all you did to be obedient to those rules that I placed on you and for your conscientious service as jurors in this case. I will be back to meet with you privately in a moment. You should feel a weight lifting off of you right now because I'm releasing of you of those requirements. You can talk to anyone about this case or no one at all. You can do whatever research you wish to do about the case or not at all. You go back on social media if you want, news media, and I'm supposed to release you from that burden of being open-minded. But I hope you always go through your lives with open hearts and open minds, new experiences and new people. I'll be back in just a minute to meet with all of you privately. Thank you very much, jurors.
Jurors exiting, all rise. Jurors, follow me, please.
When are we going to be in a position to have the victim impact statements and conduct the sentencing in this case?
Your Honor, I believe that we could do it as early as Wednesday of this week, but I believe if it's available to the court, we can also do Thursday or Friday.
I know that Friday's definitely not a good day for the court because I have other things scheduled. I anticipated the trial was going to be running, so I scheduled other things, although we could do it Friday morning. Does the defense have any preferences to the timing of the sentencing?
Your Honor, given the Commonwealth's recommendations, we'd actually request Wednesday at any point, if that's possible.
All right, I think it will be. I'll just, the only reason that I wouldn't do it on Wednesday is I do want the victim impact statements, regardless of the implications of the jury's verdict. It may have bearing on my sentencing on the other counts to which he pled guilty.
That's right.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Matter is continued to December 17th at 9 a.m. for sentence imposition.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Court stands in recess.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Sue.
Oh, great. Were you around? Oh, thank you.
and they went through the law, and they came up with a verdict of guilt, first-degree murder, and I think that was the right decision.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with you. Again, Brian Walshe, guilty of first-degree murder. That is life without parole in the state of Massachusetts, which he will be sentenced to, but not before the victim impact statements. And the judge alluded to that. Both sides are agreeing to Wednesday, and we, of course, will watch those take place. You can bet that Jim Mutlu, William Fastow, and others that we saw take the stand will be there. Matthew Magino, thank you. Lisa's going to stick around for the next hour with us. We'll get a break. When we come back, we'll have more on Brian Walshe or Matt Johnson there in the courtroom. We'll hear from Matt after this.
Mr. Foreperson, in the matter of the Commonwealth versus Brian Walshe, Norfolk Superior Court Criminal Indictment Number 2023-0091. As to count 1, wherein the defendant Brian Walshe is charged with murder in the first degree, what say the jury? Is the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Guilty of what, sir?
Murder in the first degree.
Murder in the first degree. So say you, Mr. Foreperson.
I do.
Brian Walshe with almost a little nod there when hearing that he was found guilty of first-degree murder by a Massachusetts jury. Over 2 days, 5 hours plus of deliberation, they came back and basically said, we don't believe your story. We don't believe that you just found your wife, Anna, dead, and then made the extraordinary decision to not call 911, not seek medical help, even a lawyer. You just decided to chop her up. That was what the defense wanted this jury to believe, that she, Anna, died mysteriously, and Brian just freaked out, and he just did things that maybe you and I wouldn't do. Well, the jury didn't buy it at the end of the day, so he'll be sentenced on Wednesday. And that's when he will have to listen. He'll have to listen to those victim impact statements of people whose lives were changed by his actions. They will come in and they will talk about Anna. You remember, he and his wife had 3 children. Now they have lost both their mother and their father, who will be spending the rest of his life in prison for what he has done. Lisa Bonner is with us here in studio with the reaction to this. No surprise, I guess, on so many levels. What was surprising was the defense, which was so odd, but then the decision that Brian Walshe didn't want to take the stand after articulating to the court the night before that he would plan to get up there and give it a whirl.
Well, I think that is one of the oldest defense tricks in the book, right? That all defense lawyers basically say, my client can't, he's really considering taking the stand. He really wants to tell him his side of the story. And rarely, if ever, does it happen. And this would have been a disaster for him. Well, it would not have changed the outcome, clearly, as we've seen, but it just...
Well, it might have been a quicker deliberation.
It would have been. But again, I do think that the jury took their time and went through all of the evidence, and they came to the correct conclusion. But I did not think that that he was going to take the stand. But in some instances, you really kind of look, and you look at the hubris, if you will, of the defendant. And I at least tend to think sometimes if anybody would do it, it might be this guy. And I kind of, approach that, but it just never works out for him, for a defendant, so I really didn't think that he was going to. Yeah,
pulling the wool over jurors' eyes is a lot harder than people might think, even for a guy that, he was found guilty of selling fake art. So he was pulling the wool over people's eyes, saying, oh, here's this is worth this, and it was all lies.
Right. And all of the bad acts come into play. They can question him about everything at this point. So, did you do this? And they could start walking him through it. They walk him through all of the prior bad acts, and it just never comes out. Look, no one ever comes out looking better and helping their defense. I felt that this was a losing proposition from the beginning. But again, maybe he
probably his idea.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
He was sitting there with his lawyer. This is and then
right, as opposed to just pleading out and maybe getting a lesser sentence. I think that he probably thought that if anybody could do it, I can. Right. And I don't buy that.
Let's head out to Dedham. That's where we find CourtTV's Matt Johnson. There is Matt. All right, take us through what we saw. One angle. What did you see in the courtroom?
Well, for starters, Brian Walshe had tears in his eyes, and he stopped and he took a step back as they were escorting him out of the courtroom after that guilty verdict. He looked for his mother. She had already been removed from the courtroom. On several occasions, she has been trying to get his attention. At one point in time before this trial even started a couple weeks ago, she left something at the defense table. It looked to me like it was a note. They have told her many times that she cannot say anything to the defendant, and she continues to try to do so. Well, today, they removed her from the courtroom before he was escorted out after he was found guilty of butchering and murdering his wife, AnaWalshe. her family, her friends were not present for the reading of the verdict. I was noticing that the jurors, 6 men and 6 women who worked really hard on this case over the past several weeks, listening to 48 witnesses, looking at all of that evidence very closely, and then deliberating for more than close to 6 hours in this case. When they walked into the courtroom, they made no eye contact with this defendant, and it was also of note that the defense attorneys and the defendant had moved. They had shifted closer to where the jury box was, but not one person on the jury looked at him, and each of them said, yes, he did kill his wife, Ana, and then he disposed of her remains. Ted?
Extraordinary case, extraordinary defense, one so unique that we haven't really seen anything this off the wall in CourtTV in recent memory. Sentencing now set for Wednesday, and one would expect those same cast of characters that we saw take the witness stand are going to have their opportunity to address not only the court, but Mr. Walshe.
Yeah, that judgment day continues on Wednesday, 9 a.m. This court really wants to take care of this before the holidays. She's going to be asking the jury members that deliberated this case if they want to be seated in the gallery. We're not expecting Ana's mother, unfortunately, or a lot of her family, because remember, she was a binational. She was Serbian. Her mother is in Serbia. Her sister is in Canada. And of course, you know, everyone is curious about the children. She had 3 small boys, all under the age of 6, when she was murdered 3 years ago in her Cohasset home after New Year's celebration. But you're right, you know, as we're expecting some of these victim impact statements, some of them will be written, maybe from the family members that can't be here in Dedham, Massachusetts in attendance, but then maybe from her lover, Willem Fasto, who took the stand and was talking about he wanted to build a life with her, he wanted to cherish her and take care of her and her little boys and build a life in Washington, D.C. He testified. It was very awkward when he was on the stand. He never looked at AnaWalshe's killer, not once. But we're expecting to hear from him. We're expecting to hear from the best friend that was the final witness that broke down on the stand, talking about how Ana was worried about their relationship and how she was concerned about the couple and what Brian Walshe may be capable of. These are just 2 of the people that we expect to hear from on the stand, possibly on Wednesday, when this man faces, actually, there's really no leniency in murder in the first in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He's facing life behind bars without the possibility of parole.
And a big question will be, given his hubris, as we were talking earlier here on set, will he have some sort of allocution towards the court? I think everybody would love to possibly hear from him. He's racked up now multiple charges that he's pled guilty to. Then you have the federal case. He's not going anywhere, but this would be his opportunity to say something.
And, you know, we expect him to possibly say something. This is a defendant and now a convicted killer who has been delusional. He thought he could get away with murder and dispose of his wife, lie to people, pretend to be her, and now he is convicted. He looked in shock today. And you know, everyone was in shock last week when the defense did not call any witnesses. The judge in particular, who had researched objections by this defense team, questioned them twice and said, are you sure your defendant, your client is not going to be taking the stand? Because the court had been informed that he had interest in taking the stand in his own defense and testifying. That was a shock to everybody. So this is somebody that wanted to talk during his trial, and this is probably going to be a person, a convicted killer, that's going to want to speak at his sentencing, Ted.
Yeah. In fact, the defense articulated to the judge they had 5 different points of law that they wanted her to research to make rulings on in terms of what could and couldn't be brought up during the cross-examination of Walshe. And when she found out he wasn't testifying, she was a little frustrated. Matt, stand by. We're going to be dissecting all of this, and we'll see if anybody wants to talk, maybe members of that defense team. Final word here before we get a break. Lisa, this, to Matt's point, you know, his mother supporting him throughout this, and you wonder if he is going to continue to lie to her, and I'm sure he has had a lifetime of lies. We see this all the time, where defendants will lie to their loved ones, and as a parent, you believe it. You want to always support.
You do. You want to believe the best for your child, and what mother would want to admit to herself that her son is a murderer? That is a hard pill to swallow for any parent or sibling or any loved one. And the mother was a mother bear, and she was mama bearing through the whole trial. She was, you know, reaching out to him through letters, through correspondence, you know, just doing whatever she could to support her son. And this is going to be a hard one for mom to swallow, but, you know, it is what it is. The jury has spoken.
So odd that you think about it, and there was mom in the courtroom this morning, how, and being a murderer is much worse than what he was admitting to, and that is the dismemberment of his wife, which, you know, doesn't really, you know, play because, oh, we got a press conference right now, is it? Oh, I'm here. Oh, we're going to get a break, and then we're expecting a press conference outside the courthouse, so let's do that. We'll get the break now, and then head back to Dedham. Matt will be there, and the press conference. Stay with us.
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
I'm gonna kill her.
An alleged murder plot involving a family's au pair and the married father she worked for.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
She wrote a children's book about her husband's death. Now she's accused of killing him.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. Brian Walshe is a killer. That's what a jury in the state of Massachusetts has determined. He was found guilty of first-degree murder. Let's head back out to Dedham. A press conference from the district attorney's office is on.
Yeah, everybody ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'm Michael Morrissey, the Norfolk District Attorney, and with me today, standing behind me, some of the most important people in the event you witnessed over the last few weeks and couple of years. I have members of the Cohasset and State Police, as well as my trial team, are with me today. Did an outstanding job. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the jury. This is a very difficult case from the beginning. Take time out of their schedule to hear such days of evidence, complex evidence, and a difficult case, and to come up with the decision they did. Without the jurors, our system doesn't work, and my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of those who participated and the alternates who were chosen as well. I'd like to thank the Cohasset Police, the State Police, the Medical Examiner's Office, and the Crime Lab for their hard work. It was an incredible effort. If you think about what you saw during the trial, there was all sorts of forensic evidence. They left no stone unturned. They viewed 60 witnesses, almost 60 witnesses testified at trial, and they interviewed even more people. So while you saw a good part of what we had, it was only a small fraction of the time and effort that they put in to get that evidence. And they went to dumpsters, to landfills, to dumps as well, to transfer stations, department stores, lumber stores, CVS, just to gather all this evidence, which was critical in this case. And that effort should not be forgotten, and how hard it was. For without those tools and the evidence that they provided us, that the trial team, which I had the utmost confidence, very confident, professional people, long-term prosecutors in the office, had great tools to work with, but they also great people in their own right. And they put on a very, very great case in a difficult setting. Now, we've seen other cases where we've not had a body, but this is the first one I can remember we've had a first-degree conviction, and I just want to thank them profusely. I know that a number of them passed up vacations, work holidays, and they know what's expected of them. We took the job to speak for victims, and they did one heck of a job speaking for Anna's family. And I just wanted to also to say we did hear from Anna's sister, and her comment was, justice has been served, and we agree wholeheartedly with her comments as well. But they never lost sight of that, and I'd like to just personally thank Greg Connor, Tracy Cusack, Ian Yaz, and we have the Cohasset Police, Harrison, and the State Police, and the head of our Victim Services, Kristen Collins. Also Laura McLaughlin, who's not here. She did a lot of the early work in the case, and so we had a great team, and I just wanted to profusely thank them. It's been a great day for us in the office. I'd ask Greg if he wants to say a word or two.
Thank
Greg
you,
Connor.
Thank you, Michael. Work two of the finest lawyers I've ever got to know, and also to go against very who are extremely good lawyers. But I want to say thank you to our law enforcement, but who worked day after day from the beginning with Sergeant Harrison Schmidt. When Cohasset lost one of their own, they stopped everything and tried to find this woman, and one person never gave up on that case, and it would be Sergeant Harrison Schmidt. Thank you very much.
So let's not lose sight that Anna's 3 young children will be without a mother, and especially at this time, difficult time of year, and hopefully going in the future, that we all wish them a bright future going ahead. But let's remember in a special way the loss they suffered, and thank you all for coming.
What will happen with the children?
I'm not going to answer any questions of that. That's for another.
Any more reaction from her mother or her family?
We just heard from the sister. That was the only, and so I passed that on. We heard that, they called, and I passed that on to you.
Will they be making impact statements?
The judge, they're working with the trial team to schedule impact statements. I can't tell you in what form they're going to come in, but the opportunity has been extended, and I expect we will hear something, and they're working on that now.
Mr. Morrissey, what do you think
For sentencing.
Excuse me?
For sentencing?
Well, there's a mandatory sentence of life, so, but there are other issues. They also developed other charges, as many of you have now heard, that there was a plea earlier to other charges, so that's being worked on. So you'll hear from the lawyers at the time of sentencing.
And Mr. Morsi, do you consider this a win after the
What do you
Karen
think
trial?
actually brought this to guilty? You have no body, circumstantial evidence. What do you think was the strongest part of the case that convinced the jury this was guilty?
I don't think there's any one thing. I think it was the combined effort of working together with our law enforcement partners, the ME and other professionals. The work that was done on the forensics, I think, was important. But actually, without that and without people explaining it in the courtroom, we'd have nothing. And I think they all did an awesome job. And I'm just going to say one other thing, because someone mentioned, it's not about winning or losing. It's about getting the right answer. And this was the right answer. And so we don't look at cases as a wins or losses. We look at getting justice for someone. So let's not lose sight of that fact.
Walsh pled guilty to 2 charges ahead of time, right when jury selection was about to start. Did that change the way you approached this case and your attorneys? Obviously, they had been looking at 3 different charges. Now it was 1 murder charge.
You can hear right from the
case was always going to be presented in the same way. The evidence was the evidence, and we wanted to make sure the jury had everything that they needed to make a determination. The change of plea was an interesting dynamic, but when it came down to it, we wanted to make sure the jury had all the facts.
Greg, what do you think it was? The online searches? Do you think it was the surveillance video? What do you think?
Or the emotional testimony?
I can't tell you. That would be a question for the jurors. We tried to give them all the information we had. We had it from multiple different factors, whether it be surveillance video, the text messages, the internet searches. But what we had was a very thorough investigation that gave the lawyers in this case an excellent chance to try and give the jury what they needed.
Were you surprised that you didn't testify? And what did you want to ask him on the stand?
I don't know if I can comment on that.
You don't have enough time for that.
I think that's probably better not said.
But were you surprised that he didn't?
The judge was.
I think it's always up to the defendant to make that decision. I think it's the hardest decision a defendant can make. And so I'm sure he put a lot of thought into it. We were prepared that if he did testify, we had a number of questions we wanted to have answered, but we understand it's his right not to.
So the question?
Yeah, over the past couple of years, a lot has been made of your office and the handling of different cases. Do you hope what happened here today restores some of that perceived lack of faith the public has?
I don't know one loss of a high visibility case determines what happens in our office. We handle cases all the way from the bottom to the top. We treat them all the same. There's no such thing as a single important case. This was a critical case, and you saw on display some of the smartest people and some of the toughest workers and investigators who have always been with me. So I think that you know, sometimes you don't like what a jury has to say, but that's our system of justice. You present the case to a jury, and you have to abide by, at least I do. I took a constitutional oath. So I would just say today, I clearly am much happier with the outcome today, and I'm very happy with the work that was done by the professionals who work both in law enforcement and the district attorney's office, and really, I couldn't be happier. So
A lot has obviously over the last couple of years. We haven't really had a chance to hear from you.
Unlike my time on Beacon Hill, I get to speak out, but many of you know that now as a district attorney, that if I speak out, that I interfere with an individual's right to a fair trial, then that obviously weighs heavily upon me. So I am now free to speak today on this trial with some limitations. And so not hearing from me, obviously, then I don't want to tip the jury or tip the scales and let those cases go forward without putting a thumb on the scales of justice. And, you know, I took the job to speak for victims, and we focus on victims. And that's what I'm going to continue to do through my tenure. So I just want to thank you all. I know this is, you know, a long period of time. We have to come to the courthouse, and we do have some calls to make and try to reach out to some other family members and some other people. But thank you all, and hopefully it brings to a conclusion a very sad chapter in the history of Anna's family.
Thank you. Detective, I mean, this was your case from the beginning, right? Want to say?
All right, Michael Morsi there. Of course, that low-key Karen Reed question there at the end. But this is a big win. Bottom line, they were meticulous, and to his point, the attorneys from the Commonwealth did an excellent job. One of the things, Lisa Bonner continues to be with us as we react to the guilty verdict, Brian Walshe. One of the things that they did well in the close, it was very subtle. It wasn't, you know, bombastic. It was a delivery that was factual. And one of the questions they asked jurors to ask themselves was, those internet searches were over the top. But what about the internet searches that weren't done? How do people just die in their sleep? Is there a way, you know? There was nothing inquisitive with Brian Walshe in terms of how his wife, according to him, just ended up dead. And I really thought that hit home.
Yeah, they did a really good job. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence here. And that is really why they had to be so meticulous in putting this case together. Because jurors like bodies. They like certainty. They want to know how a victim died, right? Yeah. And without that, and with nobody, there's no evidence on how she died. And so you were asking the jury to infer a lot from this circumstantial evidence. So I thought the way that the trial lawyers went about this, the prosecutors went about this, was very meticulous, very methodical. I thought that they called the witnesses, they asked thoughtful questions. You know, you did get a little bit lost, which is always the case when you're going through the evidence, the phone evidence, and trying to decide who said what. But you know, you lose them, but it all comes to fruition in the end, right? You can see eventually the story that's being made. So I thought they did a very good job in their opening statement throughout. In the closing statement, I thought the closing arguments were brilliant, I thought.
Yeah. Hey, and let's face it, the defense had a ridiculous theory, but a very good lawyer pushing it, and you know that theory came from Walshe himself, because no lawyer would have concocted that baby. That was...
Well, right. They had to come up with something, so
yeah.
There you go.
Right, but there's so many other scenarios you could have said.
Correct.
When she was having an affair, bottom line, he's a liar. He was before this, and now he is going to the state pen again. Wednesday will be the sentencing, and that will be the opportunity for victim impact statements to be delivered, whether in person or via email, what have you, because of course her family, extended family, is out of the country. Let's get a break. When we come back, another horrible story. Over the weekend, Rob Reiner, his wife Michelle, found stabbed to death in their Los Angeles area home, and their son Nick Reiner, 32-year-old, now in custody, being held on $4 million bail. Stay with us.